The legacy of Willow Creek Manor. The slam of the door echoed to the grand foyer of Willow Creek Manor, a sound as sharp and jarring as the words that followed. "What the hell have you done to my son?" Elias Thorne, CEO of Thorne Industries and master of all he surveyed, stood frozen in the doorway. His sharp eyes, usually so calculating and calm, were wide with a mix of fury and disbelief. Before him, in the sunlit nursery, sat a young woman he barely knew, a new staff member named Lena Vance. She was cradling his infant son, little Leo, her blouse unbuttoned just enough for the baby to feed. Her eyes were closed, a soft lullaby on her lips, a picture of profound maternal peace. The calm snapped. "Get your hands off my son." Elias roared, storming into the room. Lena's eyes flew open, her body tensing with a nurse's instinct. She gently unlatched Leo from her breast, her arm still shielding the child. "Mr. Thorne, please, let me explain," she pleaded, her voice a tremor. But Elias wasn't listening. "You think you can just touch my child? Feed him like some damn wet nurse." His voice cracked with rage. "Who gave you the right?" Lena stood slowly, clutching Leo to her chest. He hadn't eaten in days. The formula. He kept rejecting it. He was growing weaker. Her voice steadied, a newfound resolve in her tone. "I'm a trained neonatal nurse. I used to produce milk." He latched. He needed it. "Shut up." Elias barked, his fists clenching. He was starving, Mr. Thorne. He had stopped crying. He was fading. "I couldn't just watch him disappear," she said, her voice now a quiet steel. Elias towered over her, his eyes burning. "You cross a line. You don't touch what's mine. You don't make choices for my family." Without warning, his open hand struck her cheek with a sickening crack. Lena stumbled back, Bryce still safe in her arms. The nursery fell silent save for Leo's small whimper and the sudden, stunned gasp from Lena. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just stared at him with wide, shocked eyes, her hand flying to her cheek. Then she slowly turned her body to shield the child. "How dare you?" she whispered. "I saved your son." "I don't need saving from someone like you," he spat, his hands shaking in the air. "Someone like me?" she echoed, her voice cutting through the air. "You mean black, poor woman?" Elias flinched but said nothing. "I lost a baby 3 months ago," she said, tears burning but not falling. "I know what it feels like to watch someone so small slip away. I saw that same look in Leo yesterday, and I did what a mother does. I acted." Elias turned away, running a hand through his hair. Lena gently placed Leo back in his crib. The baby squirmed once, then stilled, his tiny body at peace the first time in days. "I'll get my things," she said softly, walking toward the door. Elias didn't stop her. His hand trembled at his side. Downstairs, Lena sat on the edge of her narrow bed, a small, cracked mirror reflecting the harsh red mark on her cheek. The physical pain was nothing compared to the humiliation. She had seen poverty, heartbreak, and death, but never had she been struck for saving a child. A soft knock startled her. It wasn't forceful, more hesitant. She opened the door. Eleanor Thorne, Elias's mother, stood on the threshold, her silver-gray hair pulled into a tight twist, her expression unreadable. In one hand, she held a steaming cup of tea. "May I come in?" Lena stepped aside. Eleanor sat, her sharp eyes scanning the humble room. "I was told what happened," she said. "He didn't mention it, ma'am," Lena replied, her tone strained. "He didn't. The butler heard the shouting. I had to ask." Eleanor leaned forward. "I saw the look in your eyes last week. The way you held Leo. You knew something was wrong before any of us did." "I used to work in NICU," Lena said softly. "I've seen that kind of hunger. Babies shut down when they're too weak to cry." Eleanor nodded slowly. "Arthur is grieving, but that doesn't excuse what he did." For a moment, the two women sat in a quiet understanding. "You could press charges," Eleanor said. "I won't," Lena replied quietly. "He's broken. I know what that feels like." Eleanor's eyes flicked to Lena's suitcase in the corner. "Are you planning to leave?" "I thought I should," Lena replied. "It's clear I don't belong here." Eleanor stood, and walked to the door, paused with her hand on the knob. You saved my grandson. You didn't cross a line. You stepped in where we failed. If you leave, it should be your choice. Not because a man lashed out in pain. She left without another word. Lena sat back down, a fierce debate raging inside her. Part of her wanted to run, but something deeper, a feeling of purpose, whispered, "Stay." Later that evening, Elias sat alone in his study. The slap replayed in his mind. It was a reflex, ugly, irrational. The man staring back from the liquor cabinet was a stranger. The same hands that held his sobbing wife were the ones that had struck the only person who had made his son stop crying. He felt very, very small. A soft chime came from the intercom. "Mr. Thorne, Mrs. Eleanor asks that you join her in the conservatory. She says it's urgent." Elias sighed. "Tell her I'll be there." In the conservatory, filled with natural light and greenery, Eleanor stood waiting. "You hit her." "It wasn't—" "I don't want excuses," she interrupted. "I was scared, Mom." "You saw your son safe, finally feeding and resting, and you punished the woman who made that possible." Eleanor said, her voice like a gavel. "She saved your child." "I don't even know who she is," Elias said, looking down at his hands. "Then maybe it's time you did," Eleanor interrupted. "She lost a baby 3 months ago. Elias. She still produces milk. She's trained. She did what no one else in this house could do, including you." Elias's throat tightened. "I made a mistake." "Then fix it." That evening, Lena walked into the kitchen to return her uniform. She didn't expect a second chance. But when she opened the door, Elias was there. He looked exhausted. His sleeves rolled up, his tie loosened. The room felt too small. "I was just—" Lena began. "I know," Elias said. "I wanted to catch you before you left." He looked at the floor, then met her eyes. "I'm sorry for what I said and what I did. I was furious, not at you, at myself, at everything I can't fix." Lena crossed her arms, a subtle defense. "I didn't do it for thanks or sympathy. I know you did it for Leo," he said, "because that's who you are." A long pause. "I want to make this right. I can't change what I did, but I don't want you to go." "You're asking me to stay?" she asked, her eyebrow raised. He nodded, as his caregiver. "Someone we trust." "It won't be easy," she said. "Nothing important ever is." "I won't take another slap," she said calmly. "You shouldn't have taken the first," he replied. Another beat of silence. "I won't. I swear." Lena sighed. "I'll stay. For Leo." She stopped at the doorway. "Mr. Thorne," she said. "Yes." "You're not the only one who lost something, but your son still has a chance." Then she left, her step steady, her head held high. Elias realized he hadn't just asked a maid to stay. He had asked a woman who already knew what it meant to fight for a child. And maybe, just maybe, she'd end up saving more than one. Over the next few weeks, whispers followed Lena through the manor. The sharp sting on her cheek faded into a dull ache, but the sting of judgment from the other staff was a constant buzz. She was no longer just a maid. She was the wet nurse, the opportunist. One afternoon, in the hallway, another maid named Grace sneered. "So, you're the one breastfeeding the billionaire's kid now? Playing the long game, are we? Closer to the baby, closer to the will." Lena stopped. Her shoulders stiffened. "If I wanted money, Grace," she said, her voice calm and sharp as glass, "I'd sue your boss for assault and own this damn house by now." Grace's smile faltered. "I don't play games with children, and I don't compete with girls who gossip behind closed doors." The unspoken legacy. The manor had secrets. Lena knew it from the start, but she never expected to be the one to uncover them. It began with an old ledger belonging to Elias's late wife, Clara. It was a meticulous record of donations, checks, and notes. One page, bookmarked, had Lena's name. Lena Vance. Calm eyes. Carrie's pain. Could be the one. "She must have interviewed me when I brought my son, Elijah, to the clinic," Lena said to Elias. She never gave her name. "That was Clara," Elias replied, his voice soft with grief. She did that. Disguised kindness. Anonymous charity. Weeks later, Lena found an old rattle with the initials E.T. carved into the wood. The butler, Mr. Halford, a wiry man with a face like stone, told her belonged to Elias's older brother, Edward. Halford corrected. Edward died when he was 6, drowned in the estate pond. Tragic. There isn't a grave, Lena noted. There isn't one, Halford lowered his voice. Family covered up. His mother never forgave herself. Lena's instincts buzzed. The rattle, the name, the missing chapter. This child, Elias's older brother, had not just drowned. He had been erased. The family was not just mourning the dead. They were hiding them. One night, Lena found Elias's mother, Eleanor, in Clara's study, flipping through another old ledger. It's not Clara's handwriting this time. Eleanor said grimly, it's Elias Sr.'s. The ledger showed monthly payments to a private clinic for 7 years after Edward's death. Are you saying Edward might be alive? Lena whispered. Or someone was being paid to say he wasn't. Eleanor replied. The revelation slammed into Lena like cold water. Why would they fake his death? Shame, Eleanor said. And control. My husband didn't want a blemish on the Thorne name. They needed to find out where the money went. The next day, a phone call from the clinic confirmed their suspicions. Edward Thorne had been admitted under the name Edward Graves and had been there for 19 years. He left 6 years ago. No forwarding address. But they had a journal he wrote. He might be anywhere, Elias said, his face pale. Then we go find the journal, Lena said. The journal was a small cedar box, its cover hand-stitched with a simple tree. Inside, the handwriting was delicate, precise. Today, I remembered a song, my mother's voice. Another page. There was a girl at the pond once. She had red shoes. She told me not to cry when I slipped, that I was brave. That was Clara, Elias whispered, his voice cracking. She always wore red flats by the pond. Lena closed the journal slowly. He's out there, and we're going to find him, Elias said. No, Lena corrected. We're going to bring him home. The truth that cracked the stones. They found him in Pennsylvania. A man named Eli Garrison, living in a small apartment above a used bookstore. He was tall, thin, and gray at the temples. He taught children how to paint at the local community center. Elias's voice cracked. Edward. The man, Edward, looked up. I haven't heard that name in decades. I'm your brother, Elias said, trembling. Tears pricked Lena's eyes as she watched the reunion. I thought you all forgot, Edward said. Clara left me clues, Elias said. She never stopped loving you. She saved me, Edward whispered. She took me away before the doctors did what my father wanted. She found people who hid me, protected me. And now she brought you back, Lena said. Edward looked at her. You're the one from the journal. You came to the pond. I saw you there. How? Elias stared between them. Edward smiled faintly. You think I left without ever looking back? I returned a few years ago. I stood by the pond. I saw her grave. And then I saw you. You look like someone who could carry a truth. Edward returned to Willow Creek Manor. His presence sent a subtle ripple through every room. The staff moved softer. Eleanor smiled more easily. Elias seemed less burdened. But Lena knew peace was never free. On the second morning, Lena found Edward in the library, a photo album in his hands. There's something I overheard years ago, he said, his voice hesitant, right before Clara took me away. My father, he didn't just want me gone. He wanted everything that could connect me to the family gone. Clara had written letters to a reporter, a friend she trusted, trying to expose how my father had threatened doctors. She was going to go public. But nothing ever surfaced, Lena said. Because someone stopped it, Edward said. I believe those letters were intercepted. That evening, at a family meeting, Elias announced that Edward's name and inheritance would be reinstated, and Lena would be appointed as guardian to Leo in the event of his death. A maid named Grace, standing nearby, dropped a tea tray. I knew it, she hissed. You brought her here to replace us. Asked her what she found in the attic. Grace spat. Asked her about the letters. You knew, Lena said, her voice low. Clara trusted me once, Grace said. Then she started asking too many questions, writing things down. I had no choice. I hid them. We have to find those letters, Elias said. In the dusty attic, they found a small tin box wrapped in velvet. Inside were dozens of letters, all signed by Clara, all written in the final months before she disappeared from public view. One letter, to an editor of a paper, read, My name is Clara Thorne, and I have evidence that my father attempted to declare my brother legally insane to protect his legacy. This letter may be the first of many. Tears streamed down Edward's cheeks. She fought for me, he whispered, and now we fight for her, Lena said, holding the letters to her chest. The reckoning in the quiet, the Thorns with Lena and a journalist named Iris Chun, went public. Elias held a press conference, standing beside Edward, Lena, and Iris. I can't change the past, Elias said into the microphone, but I can shine a light on it. Clara Thorne was not just my sister. She was a protector, a truth teller, and a legacy we will now honor. Reporters snapped photos. Edward didn't speak, but he held his head high. Lena stood beside them, calm, resolute. Clara's voice had finally found the air, and the world was listening. In the weeks that followed, the manor became a symbol not of old money, but of redemption. Visitors came, drawn by the quiet power of truth. They brought letters, photos, mementos of their own loved ones lost to silence. One woman wept at a sculpture in the memorial garden, whispering, My mother was there, too. She never came home. On the final evening of the year, Lena stood in the garden, snow crunching beneath her boots. Elias joined her. She changed everything, he said, gazing at the memorial lights glowing through the windows. No, Lena said. She planted the seed. We just watered it. As the clock struck midnight, soft chimes echoed from the town square down the hill. Fireworks bloomed in the distance. Lena knelt and brushed snow from one of the garden stones. Clara's name was etched there, simple and strong. Sleep well, she whispered. You are not forgotten. Inside, Leo ran to the hall, his laughter trailing behind him like light.